whole lot of giggling goes on while I push the button. Everyone's going trying to wait for something to happen. That kind of tense moment. So if you're listening on the podcast, welcome. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, Jackie Sansom, check me out, technical guru. I know. It sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is, to be fair. So we welcome you this evening. If you're not able to watch us live, then you can listen on the replay, and the recordings will be up there forever after for posterity. And we hope you enjoy the Not So Secret Writers Club. This week we are with the lovely Jackie Sansom. Hello, Jackie. Hello. Normally we have the gorgeous Joanna come and join us, but she's out gallivanting, which is quite rude, isn't it? Going out and having a life of her own. I mean, I don't remember sanctioning that, but she's off.
I won't take it personally.
No. I think she had something she'd booked in, and I'm pretty sure there was vodka involved, so we didn't stand a chance, Jax, to be fair. So this gorgeous individual here, our paths have crossed, and I feel like our paths are always meant to cross. Jackie once described me as someone who never stops talking, which I thought was kind of rude, but
first.
Well, you know, and we met through the Social Media Academy, where we both had joined to try and drag our sorry backsides from out of the dark ages and into the world of social media. And I feel like we really connected. There's been a few people during lockdown that I've really connected with, who weirdly I didn't meet face to face until many months after I'd connected with them. It's all been a very strange kind of set of circumstances under which to meet people. But Jackie and I met, got on famously straight away. I then had this brilliant idea of setting up an online writing academy. And I said to Jack, do you fancy it? She was like, yeah. So, and it's gone from strength to strength. I feel like we've become friends as well as colleagues and fellow writers. So I'm forever grateful for that. I felt like our paths were meant to cross. There was some kind of higher power up there. The lovely Beverly Barn has joined us. Hello. Beverly's book is now in her sweaty little hand. She's got those ready. Fiona, I think she's already ordered copies of hers today. So yeah, so we're all going live at the same time. I was wondering why I was super busy. And I had a collaboration meeting last night with a digital marketing guy who does author and book launches. I said, do you know what? I can't keep up. I'm so busy. And he said, you are launching 5 books at once, Karen. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably why it's busy. I didn't really consider that, but it's been a blast. So the lovely Jackie joined the Academy when I set it up in October last year. She was one of our founder members, and she has been an absolute asset to the group for her quirky kind of approach and take on life. We'll talk more about that in a moment. She describes herself as mad as a box of frogs, but in a good way. I don't even know what that means.
Somebody else said it first.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I like Mad anyway. Mad's much more interesting than Zane, I think. And she just brought something to the group. To be fair, everyone has brought something completely different to the Academy. Everyone's brought a different style, a different genre, a different take on things. It's been like sort of writing tapas, hasn't it? Which has made it really interesting. And for me, it's been brilliant. So, Jackie, what possessed you, my love, to join the Academy? What earth possessed you to join the Academy?
I have always done a little bit of writing,
Right.
probably since my mid-20s, and had the urge to write, but never quite got there. And I guess I'd always parked everything. I'd done bits of stuff, bits of poetry. I think I did a creative writing course in my 30s as well, but I never kind of like did anything of any length, and I've got lots of bits in the loft and what have you, but nothing that was ever going to go anywhere. And I didn't actually, when you said about it, I didn't actually see this happening. I didn't see us kind of getting to this point where we're actually going to be published. I think it was just the whole idea about writing something and that being quite a cathartic process, and I think that's great for your mental health, which is a whole other subject.
Yeah.
But I think it was just, I hopped on it, not with this insight. And I don't even remember, did we talk about that at the beginning? I can't recall, but now we're here.
I know. The lovely Fiona joined the group for a chat, and then when I said, right, the tutorials are over, love, you've got to write, she was like, really? I didn't think I was writing a book. I was like, well, you didn't join just for a chat. But I mean, I have to pinch myself. It was always my intention to help you all get published, because I think, what's the point if you're not going to it's like, going to the party and not drinking the champagne, isn't it? It's like, what's the point of that? So I that was my vision. Maybe I didn't share that enough. Perhaps it's a good thing I didn't share it at the beginning to all run off scared down the path. So, but I can't quite believe we've got to this point. It just feels a little bit surreal, doesn't it? That we're all here, almost about to launch our first, for you guys, your first novels or your first non-fiction, your first children's books. That does feel kind of special.
It does. And I think also because I haven't really said much to anybody. And of course, when you turn around and say, well, I've written a book and it's being published, and they look at you a bit as if to say, you've written a book.
Not you. Rude.
No, that's me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know, but people are impressed. People are, and rightly so, because as much as it's a great process, it takes some commitment, doesn't it?
It's like giving birth. I'm sorry, and I don't mean that to put anybody off, but it's. I'm a bit of a deep thinker, and I'm very emotional. So it for me, probably it did feel a bit like that emotionally. You put so much into it, you give so much, and had a zillion other things going on as well. But it's not. Well, no, I just don't think it's an easy process for anybody. And what we all do, I think, at times is put everything else in the way to stop sitting down and writing. You just think, oh no, I'm just going to go, I've got to clean the kitchen, when I'm really bothered about cleaning the kitchen or something like that. It just...
you have to commit, don't you? And
absolutely.
And that's kind of what I say, like when you commit to a job, you don't phone your employer up and go, look, I was going to come in, but I'm really sorry. I had to hoover. I haven't painted my nails in ages, and I just, had to pop and change my new. You've committed to it, so you have to jolly well go there. And I think that's the thing with writing. You do have to commit to it, and it is like giving. All the men will be running out the room now, but it is like giving birth, not in a bad way, but it's a very emotional thing. And I've written 10 books now, and I don't feel any differently when I get that book through the post, or when I still am very kind of bit self-critical and a bit, oh God, and is anyone going to like it? And do I like it? And it's a very it's a very emotive thing to do, I think.
Definitely. And I think you get all emotions with it though as well. Because there is that joy when you've got your little bundle book in your hands. Yes. And if you've gone back for more, then it can't be that bad, can it?
No. It is kind of like getting the bug. The only thing with me at the moment is I'm so busy I haven't got time to write, which is a bit ironic. But I will once we've kind of a bit more of an even keel. And I think as much as it is, there's a lot of commitment, there's a lot of dedication required. It's super worth it. Well, you wouldn't do it, would you? And my nan always used to say, if it's not tricky, it's not worth having, or one of those old adages. But it's definitely worth the hassle, or not the hassle, but the commitment. Have you got a friend called Karen Spinks? She says, we knew you would get there, Jack, we just didn't know when. So
when she's 100.
But you've done it, you've pulled it out the bag. So and do you think look, when I wrote my first book, I hadn't even really thought that I would ever write a book. It just sort of happened to me, sort of just kind of by chance. But I do think it was always in there somewhere. I'd always loved to read. I'd always written poems. I wrote a poem for my friend's wedding. I was always reading poetry. I was always very book orientated. And I do think it's something that is in there, isn't it? Kind of waiting to come out.
I think so. I don't... there's a lot of people that say, I want to write a book. And the majority of people don't do it.
No.
I mean, it's a creative process, isn't it? You've got to be creative, or depending actually, because it's not all about fiction, and that it, like we've got Sandra in the group who's written non-fiction, and that.
But her motivations are slightly different then, aren't they? She's written that for her, and also for the self, you know, she wanted to write a book and she's loving the achievement. But her motivation was to promote her business and share her knowledge and expertise. So that they are slightly different, aren't they, in what your reasons why you might do that.
Yeah. And well, we've all come from different spaces, but you do have to have an element of creativity. I mean, everyone has that actually, don't they? Because Bev's does her glass.
Yeah. Fiona's quite creative. Yeah, we are a little creative bunch, I think, aren't we? We're a bunch of creative souls.
But that's also we couldn't. I don't think. I mean, I've been in a couple of writers' groups before, but this was just something different, and the girls were something different as well.
Oh, amazing.
That support and the accountability, and I think you pushed us a little bit, which was really good, but you've been there for us, you know, and helped us kind of sort through all of the rubbish to get to the good bits. And I just think that has played a huge part in it.
That camaraderie has been, and I am blessed to have had all of you in the group, because you're such a nice bunch, and everybody's really supportive of each other and have built each other up going through the tricky bits, which has been amazing. So when we talk about your book in a minute, we'll talk a little bit about what it's about. But did you, when we started, when I said to you, right, you are actually going to have to write and publish a book now, Jackie, did you always have the idea for this story in your mind? Did you know, or did it come to you through the group, or had it been sort of lying dormant there, do you think?
No, I think at the very, very beginning, when we were looking at ideas, it must have been just around then that I had the idea. Because and I thought, then it's not something that's been
a burning thing for years.
Not that particular idea.
No.
But so I think it did come about then.
That's good. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Because we went through that process of looking at different ideas and writing them down, and then kind of like exploring that and expanding and
trying to get inspiration. And inspiration's there if you allow it in, isn't it, Jackie? That's what I think is. I think if you're open to it, it comes to you. So then, and I love how we arrived at the name.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you want to say how we arrived at the name?
No, you say it. You talk better than me.
I talk a lot. I don't know if I talk better. So basically, when Jackie said what she'd like to talk about, and the idea started to form and it started to take shape, and she's like, I don't know what to call it. And because of what the book's about, there's a little bit of all of us in this book. You know, there's elements of all of us in this book. And I said, oh my God, Je suis Charlie. And that, I don't know if people remember, there was that awful terrorist attack, wasn't it? I think it was a cartoon. Were they like a satirical newspaper, wasn't it? And there was a couple of the reporters, I think the building was bombed or targeted, and a couple of the reporters were injured, and I don't know how many people died, which is terrible for me. But it happened in Paris. And I've actually got the poster on my kitchen wall, and they put a thing in the paper which said "Je suis Charlie," which means I am Charlie. So the guy, I think he died, didn't he? Was it I can't remember his surname. Hebdo. Yeah, I wanted to say Hebdo. And what they were saying was that and the French are quite good at this, the whole solidarity and standing together, saying, well, we're not going to be downtrodden by this evil, basically. We're all Charlie, you know, we could all be Charlie. So that was the whole tagline was Je suis Charlie. So then I said, oh my God, you know, and then it came about that we sort of arrived at I am Agnes. And where did you get the name Agnes? I can't remember why you thought of Agnes.
It wasn't. It was going to be Alice at first, and then we were banding about it actually the title being Je suis. Actually, no, we must have changed it because Alice, Je suis Alice doesn't work.
Well, it sort of evolved, didn't it? It did evolve, yeah.
And then we just thought, well, there's no connection to France, so
No,
it can't really be just squeeze.
no.
And then we just came back to I Am Agnes that way. But
Yeah.
it just, there was so much to it that it was about her journey and her finding herself, I suppose. So
it was the idea behind that, that's quite a nice, and this is the thing about the writing process, and that's why it's nice to be part of a group, and that's why it's nice to be amongst other people, because that's how, as you know, I'm quite a talker. Has been said, but I find that process hugely inspiring. When people start to chat about things, then my mind goes ping ping ping, goes quite nuts. But those ideas, the more you talk about things, the more you generate ideas, the more ideas come, and those ideas lead on to other ideas. And I love that, how the whole process evolves like that. It's sort of like a little seed that starts to get all these shoots coming off until you finally get to the flower at the top. I think I love that process.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the beauties of you, something that I don't have the ability to do. I can't, it doesn't kind of like come immediately to me. I'm just like, oh, this idea. I have to go away and think about it for a week.
But I mean, but that's fine. We're not all the same, and your ideas are amazing. Some of your imagery in your book is fabulous. But I'm a quick like that, whereas you're a more go away, think about it, and there's no.
But I think in terms of helping us and stuff, when we came into the group, that was a blessing, if you know what I mean. It wouldn't have been any good if you said, let's all go away for a week and think about it.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, it's going to be here next year. Well, actually, we're going to let you know a year from now.
Brilliant. Oh, Karen Spinks, she says something in the name, being a talker. Is Karen a bit of a chatterbox as well then?
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah. We've had this conversation. I just say that to her. Hi, Karen. And our husband kind of like looked out the corner of his eye.
Yeah. Well, us Karens have to stick together. We get a bad rep at the moment, don't we, with Karens? Karen being synonymous with people who shout at managers in stores and stuff, aren't we? I read a thing on one of the social media sites that all Karens are born middle-aged, shouting at the manager, asking to speak to the manager. So I was like, speak for yourself. But anyway, so us talkers have got to stick together, Karen. So I loved how that process evolved. And so do you want to say a little bit so you're not allowed to give too many spoilers, but what is your book about, Jackie?
Okay. I mean, this isn't everybody's thing, and it had to be explained to me at some point in my life a few years ago. Actually, somebody talked about the allegory of the cave, and it's your journey into self-awareness, but starting in the cave, and kind of like in the allegory of the cave, they're sat chained to a wall, and you're shown certain things. There's a fire behind all these people that are chained to the wall, and then these puppets are kind of like masquerading. So what they see are the shadows on the wall, and that's what you're fed by. Oh, it's incredibly deep, but you're fed by society, and that's what we all believe, and we just go along with it. But some people choose to or get the opportunity or encouraged to break free from that, and they head out the cave and look out to the light and see something a little bit beyond that.
And go on.
And basically it is about this Agnes's journey from, I suppose, quite a dark place, or sat in that place where it's societal norms and everything, and her having the kind of like searching, as Karen will always say, actually, you've always been searching for something, and it's kind of like that. And it's that something else, that there has to be something else out there. And I suppose that's what she finds. She goes and looks, not literally, but she goes and looks outside the cave, starts seeing things in a different way, meets different people who perhaps encourage her to see things in a different way, and it turns the light on herself, so she sees herself in a different way. And
it's brilliant. I love it. So, and basically she's in a pretty dark place, isn't she, in the book, and it's about her journey from the dark to the light and how she makes that journey. And what I love about it, and it's quite spiritual, isn't there? There's a bit of some guidance from a guardian angel, but we won't say too much. Bev's just said it's a really powerful story, and I think it is a powerful story. What I love about well, we'll talk about your style of writing, because your style of writing is quite quirky in a great way, but yeah, it's about, what I love about it, it's very moving and it's quite poignant. And I love the idea that she's got these people come in and out of her life, some for a long time, some for a short time, fleeting and not so fleeting. And I've, recently I've become, I think it's you, Jackie, you've turned me a bit woo-woo, but, I've started to see the sort of, serendipity and that people come to you for a reason, and that these things are all guiding you along that path, and what you see as, negative might actually be a positive. And I just like, it's quite moving in that way, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I believe that myself. I do think that people come in to either help to kind of push you back on your path, or it's all about a lesson, something that you have to learn to move on to your next, kind of like the next stage of your journey, life, really.
Yeah. And I mean, some of your imagery, I can't say too much because I'll give a bit too much of it away, but some of your, because there is a guardian angel involved, and there's a little bit of sort of the supernatural about it, but not in a, not in the ridiculous sense, but there is, like in life, there's some things that happen that we can't quite explain. It's more the mystery rather than the ta-da, abracadabra type of magic. No rabbits from hats or whatnot. But yeah, I love that sort of the magic of it, and the air of mystery, and some of your imagery that you use, your imagination. I don't know what you were drinking at certain points of that story. But I just, the imagery, and when I edited it, and then we had a sort of a second proofreading, and the lady that proofread it for us said, I love your imagery, and I think you do that really well. And we've talked about this, haven't we? Because as the writer, and we talk a lot about show don't tell writing and creating that imagery and all of that, because what you see as the writer may not be what your reader sees, and that's okay. But as long as what your reader sees is powerful and has an impact, and I think there's some fantastic sort of analogies and comparisons and metaphors and imagery in there. I just think you do that really well.
I think we've had this conversation though, that I've written it in the first person. You do all of it in the first person. It wouldn't. And with that comes the power, because you have a voice then, and it's coming from a person.
Yeah.
Whereas if you write in the third person or narrator, you lose that somehow, I suppose. Well, I don't know actually, because I haven't tried it, but
no, it certainly worked for your book, the first person, because it's all about her journey and how she feels and how she interacts with other people. We're not terribly interested in other people. We're interested in her as the main character and the person of interest and all of that. So it doesn't always work to write in the first person, but certainly for this story, I think, because it's all about her, how she's feeling, how she perceives the world, how she changes her attitude to the world, and how she recognizes or doesn't recognize always things that come in to guide her. I think it really works, because we did talk about that at the beginning, didn't you? You wrote a bit in the third person and a bit in the first person, and in the group we were like, it both works, but first person is the way forward. I
mean, that whole process as well was so interesting to go through.
It's when you look back, you realize how much you've done. That when I look back, I think, God, we did quite a lot, before we, you don't just sit down with a pen and think, oh, I'm going to write a book today, that we did, because none of you had really written before. There was a lot of, stuff to do, which was great. I thought, you all approached it with such enthusiasm. Now let's talk about your style of writing. Because I was speaking to someone the other day about it, and I just had to chuckle because obviously, my red pen. Sandra said, "Oh, I think I might buy you a new red pen," because I get a bit excited with my red pen when I'm editing. And yeah, and a bit of green on yours as well. I got really carried away. It's like a multicolored thing. And actually, if I analysed the way that you write, you break so many rules. My pen would probably set on fire.
Yeah.
But because, again, I think writing in the first person gave you permission to do that. So sometimes your writing's quite staccato, lots of short sentences, lots of parts of sentences that shouldn't really stand alone, but they somehow manage by magic to do that. But I think it was writing in the first person that allowed, because particularly when she's at her really lowest point, and we know that when someone's feeling down, their voice is very chaotic and their thoughts dart from thing to thing and they can't quite see, and everything's a bit foggy. So I thought it worked really well, but there were a couple of times when I sort of looked at a sentence and I thought, can I let that go? Do I need to change? Do I need to make her put? And I'm like, no, she can have that one. There were a couple of times I was like, no, Jack, she can't. You actually can't do that. But generally, it really, and what I loved is that your voice really came through, and it's very unique, but very, it really suits what you've written about. And when we've talked about this before, when I talked to other writers, finding your voice is really, really. But did that just come naturally? Was it just sort of felt right when you wrote it?
I just let it flow.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't. Maybe I overthought. I can't remember overthinking. I must have overthought it because I overthink everything. But
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't at some point.
I just put trust in it because of what it was about, and of course there are elements of it, and Karen will read it and she'll go, "That's Jack's."
Yeah.
But it's not all me.
No.
But that's what you do in. But I suppose particularly in your first book, and for everybody, I suppose there tends to be quite a lot of oneself in there. I don't know, maybe not for everybody, but now I've lost my train of thought.
We're just saying because every writer has a voice, don't they? And like if you read Stephen King, he'll write in a certain style. If you listen to, I don't know, a certain pop group, they sing, you'll know when it's their song. So even if they're different songs, you've got a style, and you can't help but put a bit of personality into your writing. And I think if you don't do that, it's the weaker for it. Like people have said when they read my books, oh my God, it's like you're sitting there talking to me, which I'm not sure is a good thing.
Yes, actually, when the Balmoral Road, when I read that, actually, I'm thinking, and I didn't know you that well at the time, but I knew you enough. I'm like, this is her, so you. It's so you. That's amazing, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. But that's because Bev says here, even deciding which person to write in had a huge effect on the feel of it, and that really surprised her how it can change the whole tone of the book. It can change the power of the book. It can change the power of the story. A little things like that can have quite a big effect, I think.
Yeah. Also, actually, I probably should write things down as I'm thinking of them, but that I didn't know where I was going with it. I did have a rough plan, but I was kind of, I don't know, a third of the way through. And I think what we've learned with you is that there isn't really a set way, and you're not going to make anybody say, well, no, it has to be done this way. You have to plan exactly everything out. It depends on the person, doesn't it? I can't do things like that anyway.
No. I was when I was talking at the Women in Business thing show today. We're talking about planners and pantsers. Like people who plan down to the last word and people who fly by the seat of their pants. And I'm a bit of a pantser, but I'm really not for like some writing courses. Well, we'll give you a pro forma, we'll give you a planning sheet, and I'm not a huge fan of them If you need help, then great. But my worry with those, it's a bit like worksheets at school. If you're told to do it a certain way, you're immediately stunting that creative process a little bit, because you say, well, you've got to plan it like this. You can have some guidelines, but I do think authenticity of voice is really important, and just let the plan come. And if you feel like the story can come, and you did exactly kind of what I did, you let the story flow. Then you got to a point and thought, oh, I'm a bit lost. I don't really know what to do now. I don't really know how this should transition, or where's she going to go next, or how do I, not make this sound a bit ridiculous, when she gets to the place that we're not going to mention. But do you know what I mean? So, and then we had to have a little, and I've had to do that with mine. Sometimes, my poor husband, I come in, I go, right, I've got to this point. I've no idea what she's got to do next. I've got to this bit in the story. And he's like, well, what if she finds out so-and-so is pregnant or what? And I'm like, oh yeah, there we go. And then I'm off again. So I think you do need to regroup, because otherwise you can go off on a massive tangent. But I'm quite a fan of letting the story flow, particularly, for fiction, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and it's not always in the right direction, but that's fine. I know what I was going to say about the sentences and breaking rules. I've always had that thing about starting a sentence with "and," and I love it, because I just think you were always told not to.
Start sentence with "and." Yeah, you can't end with a preposition. You can't. What else can't you do? Yeah. It's the devil saying they'll just do it anyway.
The full stop comes before the last.
My red pen did get a bit excited about those. That's a rule you can't break, Jackie.
I was present for that class, but it obviously didn't sink in.
Yeah, I think it's where it is on the keyboard. I think you obviously preferred to. I'm just looking at my keyboard now. Maybe it was the way it sits on the keyboard. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for letting the story flow, and we've talked a lot about letting go of perfection, haven't we? Because if you get hung up on the editing process as you're writing, you can really lose your creativity, because if you're like anything like me, my brain goes a million miles an hour. It's like a box of worms, and if I keep stopping, I've forgotten what I was going to say or do anyway. Or maybe that's the menopause. I don't.
A little
Who
bit.
knows? Yeah. Beverly's just said, don't worry, Jackie, I had loads of red pen on all my speech and brackets. I'm going to get a reputation.
That was one of the things that I found quite difficult, and I suppose we all do to a point. It's handing over a piece of work. Even at the beginning, when we shared bits of our work in the group, and like that panic that it's not good enough, or it's pile of poo, whatever. And that is really hard to do.
So you leave yourself quite vulnerable, don't you? It's quite a vulnerable process, definitely.
Because so much of you goes into it.
Yeah. It is. You still get that moment of, oh God, I hope it's all right. Bev's made herself laugh, because she said, I had loads of red pen on all my speech and brackets, and then afterwards she said, oh, I didn't spell speech properly. She's had to respell speech, so she's going to have to come back for another lesson in the old academy, I think. So I mean, obviously this book is it's been quite a cathartic process for you, I think you would agree, and it's quite irrelevant. And there's quite a lot of issues raised, aren't there, regarding mental health in this book, really, as part of the story, but also as part of life, perhaps.
Yeah, at the beginning. And it's something that's quite close to my heart, because I've struggled with it myself for a lot of my life. And it's it was always going to be, I guess there was always going to be some element of that in whatever I wrote, because that for me is super important, because outside of writing the book and my part-time employment, I set up my own company, Move Your Mood, which is all about helping people with their mental health using movement and energy balance.
Mm.
It's all going through the formation process at the moment. So it's always been a bit of a thing for me, just to share. And obviously it's become more of a big thing because of COVID and lockdown and people struggling more, people probably who didn't struggling, but people who were already struggling, you know.
Yeah, it's been, yeah.
It's something that just needs a continuous dialogue and bringing to the forefront all of the time about mental health.
Yeah.
Don't put me in my soapbox about it, but it's
but there's so much stigma still, isn't there? You know, nobody would berate you for taking a tablet if you've got a headache, and nobody would say to you, "Oh, well, how stupid are you getting a headache? You know, what a failure you are. You know, or you should be tougher than to get a headache." But we do sort of have that approach to mental health. Well, what's wrong with you? Why are you so weak? Or why are you? You know, that might not be said out loud, but there is that perception that, and I can't believe there's anybody on the planet who hasn't struggled with their mental health at some point in some way, because otherwise they're probably an android or a robot or something. Yeah. But you know, we've all had times where we feel low. We've all had times where we feel confused, upset, bereft. You know, all of that. But there is still that kind of, oh, really? What, you're actually a human? How dare you? You know.
I think, I don't know. It's changed a bit. I think the media has made it normalizing it, I suppose. But that means some people think they've got certain conditions when they perhaps haven't, and you know, some of the conditions are a bit more, are quite serious. You know, there's I don't know, when people talk about bipolar and things like that, that's quite a serious condition.
Oh, it can be dreadful. It can be dreadful.
People will turn around and go, "Oh, I reckon I'm a bit bipolar," or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I know it's said lightly and stuff like that, but it's an uncomfortable place. You know, if you're struggling with your mental health, the mind is such a powerful thing. And if you've got nobody to talk to, or you find it difficult to talk, particularly for men as well, who don't much, there's so much to say about it, and I there's so much more to do about it.
Yeah. We're going in the right direction.
Raise the profile of it as well, outside of, but yes, there's a little bit in the book as well.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, Russell Taylor. Hello, Russell. He says, I'm a new follower and this is really interesting. Oh, thank you, Russell. It's lovely of you to join us. It's nice to have a man in amongst us. We go heavy at the moment, but not that it's we're not exclusive men or women, but yeah, it's nice to have a bit of a male influence in there. So Jackie, you know, tell me a little bit about how you feel now it's done. And Russell is about to create a thing of beauty in the form of a book. So Bev knows Russell and has said, can't wait for Russ's book. And I've had a little sneak preview of what Russ's book.
Done?
No, he's in the process, but he's got a great idea. And I won't divulge too much, but it's going to be awesome. So I've had a bit of a chat with Russell about his impending book. So tell me how you feel now you've got to this point, and has it made you want to do more of the same?
I'm in a little bit of a limbo at the moment, and I'm really excited to just to have it in my hands, and to have got it out there. It's not just about that though, because I think for me it's a message for people who I'm not saying there's an answer in there or anything like that, and it's about escapism and stuff, but it's about sharing it. I am a bit scared that I'm gonna get it in my hands, it's all going to be done, that's going to be it, and then you sort of think, oh so yes, I'm going to do another one.
Well, we're thinking about doing one together, aren't we?
Yeah, that would be
so, because I think once you've done it once, it's like, I need to do some more of that. I need to, you know, once you prove to yourself that you can do it, I think it's hard to not do more of it. I think personally, I love the feeling.
I would say I think we've all got a bit of the bug, but then I don't know if I'm saying too much for everybody. We're all going to carry on.
We've just made them commit to writing book number. They're thinking, I didn't want to write another one.
You're doing it.
She's forced us now to write book number 2. This was the one-off, but yeah, I mean, and it's been so lovely that the Jane's there. Hi, Jane. Jane can't wait to read your book, and I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really, yeah. It says Karen says you've got too much to give to just make it a one-trick pony, and Jane's been bitten by the bug, so that's good. But Jane is, I think she's a natural writer. She joined our group quite a bit later on, didn't she?
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, and she had quite a lot of catching up to do. But yeah, but then she's a very creative person because she does all her beautiful flower art, doesn't she? So again, I think that creativity is perhaps in all of us. Go on.
I just have to share this, but Karen, she knows Ronan Keating's sister.
I know.
I just put that out there.
Yeah. Jane's very well connected. Yeah. Jane is quite posh. Jane is the posh member of our group. She's very well connected.
She certainly is.
She's like
no pressure.
Yeah, like the Irish mafia. She knows everyone. If there is an Irish, I don't think there is an Irish mafia. I just made that up. So apologies if there is an Irish mafia.
Oh my God, there's horses here.
Yeah. She says, yes, I do, and yes, I am. Yes, I am. She's very, very posh and very well connected. Not a member of the Irish mafia, though, I think. So we're hoping, with this book launch, we've already had some interest, haven't we, from Radio Kent? We've got some other things in the pipeline. So I'm so excited about this, and I just feel, I don't know, there's so much joy attached to what's happened, and it's been a crappy year, hasn't it, for lots of us? Crappy, nigh on 2 years actually. By the time we get to March, it'll have been 2 years. But so I think this has really been the rose amongst a sea of thorns. It's been hugely sort of therapeutic, cathartic, that little community that we've built all the way across the Irish Sea and back again, that sort of building each other up, the supportiveness of it all, and the achievement at the end of it. There's so much joy attached to in fact, Beth made me laugh yesterday. When we met for our meeting, she actually talked more than I do. Which is a close one thing, but bless her, that was only because she was so excited. You could see the excitement literally radiating off her. But she was like, well, I've been on Amazon and I've looked at this and I've ordered this, and did you know? We were all like, yeah, okay. But she was genuinely excited by it. And there is so much joy amongst this. It's really lovely to have done something nice in what's been a trying time.
I think so. And I do have to put this out there. I've got to say it. I can't help it. But it is what you put out, you get back. So if we're putting that joy out there, ta-da.
And that is true. Yeah, which tiger lives is the one that you feed, and all of that, isn't it? Kind of, and what you give is what you get back. And that does, the more motivated you become, the more motivated you get, the more happy you become, the more happy. It's not really rocket science, is it? If you walk around with a face like a smacked bum moaning about things all the time, you're probably not going to feel super cool. Lovely, Jane. Andre Bernard, this is my writing clan, this Jane says. Bev says, I was more, see now Bev's well connected, she's a little bit posh and all. I was more excited about this than having my glass in the Turner Contemporary. She had some of her glass in the Turner Contemporary Museum, but she went, shh, don't tell anyone. We've only just told a few thousand people. So, she was so animated. It was really, really sweet. And Jane has said she went into her local bookshop today to ask if they will carry my book, and she's waiting with bated breath. So what a lovely thing, to go into the bookshop and say, will you put my book on your shelves? I mean, how wonderful is that?
I need to do that.
Yeah,
done that yet. Yeah.
I got my books into Waterstones, and people were like, well, how'd you do that? I just went in and asked. And they said, yeah, all right. So it was as simple as that, because actually bookshops are really are really supportive people. They want books and they want to support local authors and they want you to be part of their clan, etc. So you know, if you go in and ask, they will generally say, oh yeah, that'd be great, you know. So, and it's just a lovely thing. I'm just looking to see if my dog's just obliterated the room, but she's managed to escape. You know, so yeah, just go in and ask. Oh, and Karen says, offer a free star bar with your book. I love a star bar.
She's talking about when we were younger.
Okay.
As we were two. But when we were in our teens, we used to go up to the local shops, to Waterlooville actually, and we get Star Bar. They don't. Are they called Star Bars still?
They still are, yeah, and they're lovely. Although I'm of a certain age where I've got a lot of fillings and a lot of crowns, so they always make me a little bit nervous. It cost me 500 quid to eat a Star Bar.
But so, just turning it around. I know it's about me.
Yeah, it's about you, babe.
back at you. It's just that the great thing about this group and about working under your tutelage is your knowledge that you have about all of these things, because we wouldn't have known anything, and there are so many mistakes to make around.
I've made most of them, to be fair.
I just, that whole process as well, and having that knowledge from you means so much to all of us, I think, because, you know, we would have been floundering. And I think when you're on your own, if you try to do something on your own like that, and you'd have to go through the hoops, all the things that you went through.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm pleased. That's really lovely of you to say, and I'm really glad that I was able to help. And because that's, like you say, you know, to give is as lovely as to receive, and sometimes when you give, you get just as much pleasure as when you receive, don't you? So being able to help people sort of achieve their dream, if you like, what a lovely thing. That's you know, I couldn't have been Jane says, awesome women and tremendulent knowledge from Karen. That's a Mirandaism, apparently. Tremendulent knowledge. I like that. And Beth says, yeah, that's the block that stops people doing it. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do it. I don't know if it's possible. You know, I had lots of times where I thought, blow this, I'll give up. And I think the trouble is there's a lot of people out there who are quite unscrupulous, and they will offer you a lot of advice, which comes with a hefty price tag, a lot of jargon. They sort of, you know, I met so many people who gave me advice, but it wasn't really, they were just trying to sort of reel me in and make copious amounts of money from me. And they didn't really help me. And I thought, you know what, when I do this, I want to be the person that I needed. I want someone to give me honest help, you know, proper help. So it's like the dog's like wrecking the joint. I want someone to give me honest, proper help that doesn't come with a tag that means I have to remortgage my house, and also that, you know, it's in terms of, it's like they're almost scared to give you any knowledge because they want to keep it for themselves a little bit. And the more it's shrouded in mystery, the more they can charge you, I think. Unfortunately, I think that sometimes, you know, there are some unscrupulous people out there. There are in every sort of business, but particularly in publishing and particularly in sort of writing, there's a lot of there are a lot of pitfalls. And I thought, you know what, I just want to be the person that I was desperate to find. And for me, it was Jo Bartlett, who ended up being my hybrid publisher, which is how I came to set up my hybrid publishing. And I sat down with her for coffee. Amazing woman, brilliant writer in her own right, all of that. And she gave me more information and more help in 5 minutes than I'd got in 5 years. Literally, that's no exaggeration. And I was at the point where I was about to give up, cry and scream and chuck all my toys out the pram. I met with her and I was like, oh, thank God. Thank you, God. She was a gift from God. And I thought, she's the person I want to be. You know, I want to be that person. So, yeah, I couldn't have done it without her. I think if without her, I probably would have given up because I wouldn't have known what to do next. So, and that's a shame, really, isn't it? Oh, Jane says, you've been the keystone for our writing group. I described you as our catalyst. You've made the difference. That's really nice of you, Jane. Thank you. And you've all made a difference to me as well. It's been a two-way street, hasn't it?
But I think it's also about you've been honest with us. It's not.
Yeah.
I think
it's
some
so
people want
important.
to think, well, I want to be the menopause. I
want to go through the menopause. I don't think you meant that.
No, my brain just kind of like
like the next J.K. Rowling. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, and you think you're going to make £1 million out of it, and that's what you can be led to believe. But I think you've been quite honest with us, and in not that any of us thought that, but it's just like right for an audience of one, which I think is one of the lovely things that you shared and said. I think it's important because it takes the pressure off, because you're not writing them because you want to please a zillion people who you want to read your book. You know that it's your story to share, and people will read it if they're going to. But don't panic and start forcing it. You know, thinking you have to
it'll show,
because it will happen if it's going to happen. But otherwise, right for that audience of one, and I think that will stick with me.
Oh, good. Yeah, Bev said she likes that phrase. So, well, it's been so lovely chatting with you, my darling girl. It's been amazing, as always. And I Am Agnes will be out soon on Amazon and available in selected bookshops. Yeah. Jane said, yeah, right for one person. It's a powerful approach. It is the way forward, personally. That's what I think. But, so your book, go on.
No, sorry, the fact that we can put it on Amazon, and I don't want to see bookshops appear or anything at all. So I can only go locally, but I mean, Amazon is the tool, isn't it?
Unfortunately, until we can sort of. But it's always good to support. I mean, I've done loads with my local bookshop. I've run creative writing workshops there. I've done kids workshops on Saturdays, and they're very keen. So there's lots of ways that you can support your local as well, which I think is, your local library. All of those places will be delighted to have you on board. So that's a wonderful thing, sort of a bit of a gift to the community as well, which is lovely. So it's and I can't wait to see your lovely book in proper print, like held in your hands. I mean, it's lovely. So, and all of my lovely authors will be at Store 104 in Rochester High Street in Kent on Saturday the 27th of November between 10 and 2. There'll be some readings from the children's books, some kids art and craft activities. There'll be some meditation and sort of a bit of a Pilates like relaxation session from Sandra. I'll be doing some mindfulness writing. We'll be sharing bits from all of the books, and there might even be a brownie or two because the shop makes really beautiful brownies. So that's all happening, and then we've got a lovely launch party for sort of family and friends, and hopefully we'll be streaming live from that on the 3rd of December. So it's all going on. It's all happening. If you'd like to join us on the 27th of November, please come down. You'll be able to grab yourself a signed copy, and we'd just love to see you there. And if you see the post, share them out and share the good news. Let's have some good news stories. We've had enough rubbish ones, haven't we? So let's have some good news stories going on for a little while. So if you're listening on the podcast and you haven't seen our beautiful faces, I'm sorry for that, but you get to hear our gorgeous voices. If you've managed to join us live, that's amazing. If you haven't, then you can watch it on replay. And if you've got any questions or you want to add anything, then get in touch or leave a comment, because we love to hear from you. Jane said thank you again, Jane, for joining us. Karen says, thank you both. Great, informative interview. Congratulations again, Jackie.
Yay, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm proud of myself, actually. I can say that.
Good for you. You've got much better at taking compliments, Jackie, haven't you?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're going to progress on that one.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're going to have to get used to that because it's a wonderful book. So Jackie's book, I Am Agnes, will be out from the 27th of November, if not a few days before, depending on final edits and all the flurries that happen. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you all again soon. We've got the Not So Secret Writers Club again next week, and I believe it's Beverly next week. Is it Beverly next week? I'll have to check my diary. I'll put it on as an event anyway. I'm pretty sure it's Bev. And then we've got the lovely Jane to round us off. And then we'll all be there together in our glory. I think we should wear glitter or something for that one. It's Beverly next week. And a few sparkles so we light up the old social media. So thanks again for joining us. It's been wonderful to share it with you. And we'll see you all again soon.
Bye.
Bye.